A Scandal of Bohemia. Sherlock Holmes is a famous London detective. Once, he was talking with his friend, John Watson. At that time, a masked man came there. Sherlock Holmes identified the masked man as the King of Bohemia. The king had a love relationship with Irene Adler. She was a young American opera singer. She had evidenced the two of them together photographs for their relationship. She refused to return them to the king. But the king is engaged to a Scandinavian princess for the marriage. So, he is worried that the princess's family would not accept of his previous relationship with Irene Adler. His agents tried to steal the photographs, but they could not get them. The king had the last hope on Holmes of getting back the photos. So, he requested Holmes to get back the photographs. Holmes agreed the proposal of the king. He invited his friend Watson to join him. Sherlock went to Irene Adler's house in the dress of an out-of-work groom. He gathered valuable information from her workers. She was with a gentleman called Godfrey Norton, a lawyer. Norton was coming to the house at least once every day. Norton soon arrived at Ms. Adler's house. Then Norton and Adler both went to a church. Holmes followed them disguised as a groom. He got their witness of the marriage of Ms. Adler and Mr. Norton. He also observed them going their separate ways after the ceremony. That evening Holmes returned to Irene's house with Watson. This time, Holmes was dressed as a clergyman. He staged a fight with some men on the street and Irene brought him to treat his injuries. Once inside, he gave signals to Watson. Watson threw a small rocket into the house and yells, "Fire!" Irene ran to her sitting room to protect the photographs of her and the king. Holmes observed that where the photographs were hidden, he informed her that the fire was a false alarm. He later left and met Watson on the street. As the two men walked back to the street, they planned to get the photographs early the next morning. When they got to the front door, a young person came and said in a voice, "Good night, Mr. Sherlock Holmes." That was familiar voice to Holmes, but he could not find out the person.
Next morning, he came to Irene Adler's home with Watson. They came to know that she had already left England. But she had put a letter to Sherlock before her going. She congratulated him for his tricks in her home. She had noted every activity of Holmes and recognized him when he was in the clergyman disguise. She also told that it was she, dressed as a young man, who greeted him the night before at the door of the street. She and her new husband, Mr. Norton, had left England permanently, taking the photographs with them. The king need not worry, because she loves her new husband and had no desire to disturb the king's royal wedding. The king was satisfied with that outcome to the case, and offered Sherlock an emerald snake ring as payment. Sherlock refused the ring. He requested permission to take a photo of Irene, one that she had left behind with the letter as a memento. Holmes took the photo and letter and went out. Holmes felt Irene as the most remarkable woman he had ever met.